Today we'll talk about the stability analysis. Okay. Means we want to know, suppose it is given to you some initial value problem. Okay, and you know the solution exists for all time t. So whether solution is stable or not. So for that I will define what do you mean by the stable solution. And then there is also called the asymptotically stable. That means what happens as t goes to infinity. Okay, how the solution behaves and so on. Mostly I'll try to write down the theorem. I'll not do the proof because then it will take more time and so on, and we don't have that much time. But you'll see that I'll consider some examples there so that you can understand the things. Okay, so the initial value problem, I'm considering something like that. E vector t, which is a vector of t and e vector t with initial condition is given to you at point say t0. This is your x vector, say this is your IVP, and suppose t lies from t0 to infinity. So this problem has a solution, and your f vector, what is the function given you? It is, suppose you have a omega to Rn. Okay, omega is a subset of Rn. So omega is a subset of Rn open set, and suppose it is locally ellipsis, so that local ellipsis is respect to the second variable, so that my IVP or problem 1, it has a solution for all till from t0 to infinity. So t0 may take t0 is equal to 0. Okay, so means you can think of if I have a good or smooth wave, and so that this problem has a solution, and it is defined on my t0 to infinity. So it may be local ellipses in second argument or in the second variable, so that this problem has a solutions. And we denote this solution something like that: u vector t0 and x vector. Now we have seen that it is depending on the initial condition. So we denote the unique solutions to this problem is by u vector t0 and x. Okay, so now I'm going to define what you mean the solution to this problem is stable. So we say that, say u vector t0 x, say is a solution of 1. Okay, so we say that it is stable. So basically what it gives you, that if you part out a little bit x, okay, if you consider another initial condition, say y, in the neighborhood of say delta, then the trajectories of this solution and the trajectory of the solution say y, if y lies between say ball of x0 delta, then they are close enough for all time. Okay, so in particular what it says that for given epsilon positive, there exists a delta. Okay, so this delta depending on epsilon, also the starting initial condition x0, and then say point t0, which is positive, such that whenever the distance between two initial things is less than delta, this should implies that the trajectories of the solution when start with initial condition y, that means u vector t0 x minus u t0 y, but I have started from t0. Okay, but at point t0 I'm taking the initial condition y. This should be less than epsilon. Is it not? So in particular something like that, suppose you have, so this is my t0, maybe this is your solution, say this is u vector, means the trajectories of your solution ut t0 and x vector, and then whatever, if x vector minus y vector is less than delta, or it is ball of x0 delta, then the solution to this y, it should be something like that. Okay, it will not, this should hold for all t lies between t0 to infinity. That means they are the close enough. Close enough. This is this one. This one is close to this part. Okay, so then we say that okay, the solution to this given IVP is stable. And another concept is called asymptotically stable. So what it says that it is stable. Okay, they are close enough. And then extra condition is what happens as t goes to infinity, they should be basically 0, means, and there exists a delta greater than 0 such that for all y belongs to wall of x delta, this is exactly similar kind of things. Okay, there holds the following, that limit t goes to infinity u t t0 and x vector minus u vector t t0 y vector. The difference is as t goes to infinity, that is actually 0. No, because if this is your utx0, then it should be something like that. Is going, something like that. Okay. So later actually we talk about basically the equilibrium solution or the equilibrium point. Okay. So if we consider the autonomous system, then equilibrium point or the critical point, it will be a solution. Okay. And then we will talk about that solution, whether it is stable or unstable or asymptotically stable and so on. Okay, I have said that unstable. What is unstable? So definition is that if it is not stable, okay, it is called unstable if it is not stable. Okay, so asymptotically stable, what it says that it should be stable and it satisfies the extra conditions. That means for t goes to infinity, asymptotically, that is why the t goes to infinity. For large t, then the solutions, if you just part of the initial conditions little, if you consider the initial condition, different initial condition, that is converges to your solution u t t0 x vector. Okay, if pictorially you understand the things here. So this is asymptotically stable and so on. Let us consider one example. So this definition, asymptotically stable, what it says that for asymptotically stable, it will be stable and it satisfies some extra condition. Is it not? That means we should find out an example such that it is stable but not asymptotically stable. If it is asymptotically stable, it is always a stable solution. Is it not? That is just from your definition. So let us consider one example that is really simple. So just consider this. Suppose I have things u vector t, or you can think of say one dimension also. A vector t, it is independent of your x. Okay. And initial condition say at t0, this is my x vector. And again, you consider this f, it should be minimum t0 to infinity to Rn, which is at least continuous, so that the solution to this problem holds. So now how the solution looks like? If I denote as a t, t0 and x vector, this should be nothing but x vector plus t0 to t f of s d of s. Is it not? So now what I have to show that if you consider another initial condition say y, then look at u vector t t0 x minus u t t0 y. Okay, the solution corresponding to the initial condition, we start at again from t0. So now if you check it, this is nothing but, because this is independent of your y, so this is nothing but your x minus y, is it not? So whenever x vector minus y vector is less than delta, that means if I consider y, it is on ball of say x and delta, then this is less than delta, and I can choose given for epsilon, epsilon is equal to my delta, is it not? So by definition, this is stable, but it is not asymptotically stable, because as t goes to infinity, it remains same. No? Distance between these two remains same, but they cannot goes to 0 as t goes to infinity. So the solution to this problem is stable, but not asymptotically stable. Okay, this is a simple example we are considering. Okay, so now I'll give another example where depending on some parameter, we can find out that it is stable, it is under certain condition it is stable, under certain condition it will be unstable, under certain condition it will be asymptotically stable. Let us consider that example. So suppose you consider say one-dimensional case. I have u prime t, which is at ut. Okay, this is at ut, and u of t0, which is x, and a is, at least you need c from t0 infinity, is it not, to r. So then what is your solution to this problem? Using your variation of parameter, you can find out ut t0x, already you have seen it, no? Solution how it looks like x into exp of, this should be t0 to t a of s d of s, is it not? So hence if you consider two different initial condition x and y, then what is your ut t0 x minus ut t0 y? Then the difference, this is nothing but mod of x minus y, okay, and then I have exponential of t0 to t a of s d of s, is it not? So now I'm giving these conditions. So now suppose for all t greater than t0, this is bounded, this quantity. So say condition 1, suppose for all t greater than t0, my this quantity as ds, this is less than equal to m. Okay, so there exists some m positive such that this holds. So that means this is bounded quantity. So I can always find this is less than epsilon depending on these things, no? So in that case, what I have, that the solution is stable. So if I give a such that or it is finite, something like that, t0 to t a s ds, this is less than equal to m for all t is greater than my t0. If this is 0, in particular, if I say that t0 to infinity, this point is less than equal to m, then it is a stable solution. Is it not? So now if I show that my a is such that the limit t0 to t, or in particular t0 to infinity as ds, which is infinite, then basically we cannot find epsilon, means given epsilon cannot find delta such that this is less than epsilon. So it will be unstable if that limit t goes to infinity t0 to t as ds, so it is infinity. Okay, now if it is, it will be asymptotically stable. So now asymptotically stable, if I give you these conditions, so limit t goes to infinity, so t0 to t as ds, which is minus infinity. Is it not? So that means as t goes to infinity, this is minus infinity, so that means it goes to 0. e to the power these things, it goes to 0, and also it is stable because I have already time e to the power these things, this is less than 1, so x minus y, so this is less than delta, and this is stable. So under these conditions, under these three different conditions, if I give you, so then the solution to this problem will be stable. If I find m such that this happen, it will be unstable. If the limit is infinity, it will be asymptotically stable. If the limit is minus infinity. Okay. So let us talk about, say, the system of linear or the linear system. Already you have seen it. I think Professor already have shown how the solution looks like. So here actually we are not going to find out the solutions, but still we want to know how whether the solution is stable, unstable or not. So the linear systems means I'm talking about u prime t. This is your A of u vector t, where A is nothing but the n cross n matrix, real entries. Okay, n cross n real entries means matrices with real entries, n cross n real matrices with n entries. Okay, so this is nothing but the set of all n cross n matrices with real entries. So now you know that there you need to find that fundamental solutions, and from there actually if initial condition is given to you, then you can find out the solutions to this IVP. So the theorem what it says that, so now look at the eigenvalues. Okay, so what it says that if the real part, if the real part of all multiple eigenvalues of A are negative, and if it is a simple eigenvalue, so the real part of simple eigenvalues are non-positive. That means basically it can take 0 for the simple eigenvalues. Then the solutions, then all the solutions of the system are stable. Then the all solutions are stable. Okay, this is means in particular what happens. Suppose you think of, okay, I have A, which is for simplicity, means how the proof looks like something like that. Suppose your A is say diagonal. Okay, and not only that, all the eigenvalues are simple. Okay, real entries and simple. So in that case, what I have, A is equal to diagonal of lambda 1, lambda 2, and lambda of n. Is it not? So if this is the case, then your equation looks like that ui prime of t, which is my lambda I of ui, and then you know what is your solution uit, which is nothing but your ci to the power lambda I of t. So you see that if lambda is equal to 0, then it is basically ci depending on the initial condition. So now you consider, say, c1 minus c2. If c1 minus c2 is less than delta, that should be the exactly this one actually we have talked about initially.
So what exactly you mean by multiple eigenvalues?
No, I'm just saying. No, that I'm saying. So for if you have the multiple eigenvalues, okay, it is not exactly same way proof. For that case, actually you look at the Jordan form, okay, and then you go in a similar way. I'm just saying that the simple proof. Suppose my A has a all real and simple eigenvalues in that case.
Yes, I'm not asking about proof. I'm just asking the theorem. What does actually it mean? It's the
I
real
did not
part of
understand.
all
You are
multiple
saying?
eigenvalues. I'm asking what does the statement mean? Means the real part of all multiple eigenvalues of A.
Yeah. So that depends on two things. If it has a multiple eigenvalues, that should be negative. Okay.
Then
And if it is a simple eigenvalue, that may take zero.
what?
I did not
Sir,
get
the
it.
word multiple can also be used for simple eigenvalues.
Multiple eigenvalues cannot be a simple eigenvalues, no?
So what's the difference between these two? Just I'm asking.
Multiple
what is
eigenvalues,
multiple
no, it. Say again. See, in that case, no, you cannot write down that A is my diagonal of lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda n, no? Already you know that from your previous course. Already, also Professor Harris have done it, no? In that case, you just try to reduce to the Jordan form. And then you talk, look at the Jordan form, corresponding Jordan form. I'm just saying that the simple proof, why we can expect this theorem, that is actually I'm just saying. Okay.
It is still not clear.
Say again.
It is still not clear what means. Can you just explain the meaning of multiple eigenvalues and simple eigenvalues? Means does the simple word include different
Simple
eigenvalues?
eigenvalues means
Multiple
basically, suppose I have say lambda 1, lambda 2, they are all distinct, okay? And simple eigenvalues means basically I can have lambda 1 is equal to lambda, lambda 2 is equal to lambda. This then that means it is multiple eigenvalues. Multiplicity, no? In that sense.
okay.
That is why, no, then you can see eigenvalues, and then whenever you consider the eigenvector, no, that generally eigenvector you are considering. That is basically you have that multiplicity. Now is it clear now? Hello. Anyway, so from their case actually now, if lambda I is negative, then you see that t goes to infinity, so the solution goes to 0. Is it not? So that is why this theorem is valid. Just for a simple case, and then if you have say complex eigenvalues, say lambda 1, lambda plus I beta, then you have lambda minus I beta, and then you know the solution how it looks like in terms of cos t and sin t. So cos t and sin t, they are bounded, and then you have e to the power that lambda I of t cos of say lambda 1 t beta t, and similarly that part you have. So now since that cos t and sin t, they are bounded, and if that lambda 1 is less than 0 or negative, then it goes to infinity. So that is actually I am trying to write down the second case. So this is my case 1. If the real part of all multiple eigenvalues of A are negative and real part of the simple eigenvalues are non-positive, then the solution is stable. So case 2 I am talking about that if real part of any eigenvalue is negative, then every solution of the linear system is asymptotically stable. Okay, so that I'm saying that why this theorem you can expect. Okay, one needs to prove it rigorously, but I just give you any simple situation case. Okay, these are the case, so you can expect that this theorem should hold. So let us consider one example using this theorem. What can you say about the solution, whether it is stable or asymptotically stable? So it is given to you this linear system u prime 1t, which is minus u1 plus u2, u2 prime t, u1 minus u2. Okay, so I can write down this system in this form: u prime vector t is equal to a of u vector t. So this can be written as u vector prime t, which is a of u vector t. So u vector means u1 and u2. And what is my a in this case? You see that a should be nothing but minus 1, 1, then 1 minus 1. Okay, so what are the eigenvalues of a? Eigenvalues of a, they are basically 0 and minus 2. Is it not? So from the first part I can say that all the solutions to the linear system are stable. Okay, this implies all the solutions of the linear system are stable. Okay, you can also find out many example so that if it is in this form, and then try to find out, okay, if the real part of any eigenvalues is negative, or in particular all the eigenvalues are negative, then every solutions of the linear system is asymptotically stable. Okay, so I'm not going, means you just look at this equation, u vector prime t, which is a of u vector t. Okay, u of t is basically u1, u2, and u3. It is in R3, where a is minus 1, 0, 0, 1 minus 2, 0, 1, 2 minus 5. Then you check that the solution of u vector prime t is equal to a of ut is asymptotically stable. Because you see that the eigenvalues, they are all real, but with negative, basically minus 1, minus 2, and minus 1, minus 2, minus 5. Is it not? Because it is a lower triangular matrix, and minus 1, minus 2, minus 5 is the eigenvalue for these things. You can consider many examples and so on. Okay, so now what we consider, that A is a matrix which is constant matrix. So then what can you say about that if it is depending on T? That is, I am writing down as a theorem. I am not going to prove that part. So what it says that, again, suppose my T goes to AT, this is continuous. That is actually you require, no, to have solution, existence of solution. It is continuous from your say T0 infinity to, this is a set of matrix n cross n matrix with real entities. So this is M and R. So then this linear system T vector prime T, which is A of AT of E vector T, and initial conditions may be at T0, which is my X vector. They are stable, and it has a relation with the boundedness of the solutions. So if and only if all solutions are bounded. Okay, I'm not going to prove this this theorem. What it says that if it is continuous, then all the solutions it's stable, all the solutions it is bounded, and so on. Okay, this is all these things can be done using, just as I told you, you have already, I think Professor Harish already showed you the fundamental solutions and so on. From there you can find out, okay, that it the bar matrix will come and so on. So if it is bounded, then you will get it. Another theorem I am writing down, and then I will consider one example. So now it is T goes to AT. Now if I have AT in this form, which is a sum A plus BT of BT form, and again it should be same that T goes to AT, it should be continuous. So now I have AT is equal to A plus BT. So if all the real part of all multiple eigenvalues of A are negative and real part of simple eigenvalues are non-negative, okay, that means condition A of my previous theorem for this A, and for BT, if this is whole, okay, maybe I will write down. So if the real part of all multiple eigenvalues of A are negative, the real part of simple eigenvalues of A are non-positive, non-negative. No, what I put it non-positive, no? Yeah, non-positive. And what can you say about this B? So if T0 to infinity BT norm of dt, this is finite. So this is the matrix norm. You can consider, since it is a finite dimensional, it is in Rn. So any norm are equivalent. So you can consider, in particular, you can think of that BT norm. You can take the one norm, which is basically summation over all this Bij of T mod. Okay, over I and J. You can think of also this kind of norm. If this is finite, then the solution to this problem, which is AT UT, okay, this is stable. And if the real part of any eigenvalues of my A, this A, if it is negative, so this is condition A. Condition B is that if real part of any eigenvalue of A is negative and BT that goes to 0 as T goes to infinity, then any solution of U prime T, which is my AT UT, is asymptotically stable. Okay, these are the two differences. So because that is actually you can expect from your previous theorem that I am considering A and then part A plus BT. So then the B actually I am considering this is T0 to infinity BT dt norm is finite, which is exactly that example I was considering, no, something like that. If you have this U prime T is equal to F of T, means AT UT form. So from there actually we are having, okay, under these conditions we can say that it is stable, unstable. So now we are trying to glue these two theorem. Okay, and means example and then this theorem. So which we have this theorem. So what it says that if T goes to AT, where AT is equal to A plus B of T, they are continuous. And if all the real part of all multiple eigenvalues of A are negative and real part of simple eigenvalues of A are non-positive, means we can consider 0 also, and T0 to infinity BT dt that is finite, then we have a stable solution. And if norm of BT goes to 0 as T goes to infinity, then we can have asymptotically stable. Solution is asymptotically stable. Let us consider one example. So these are the linear system of equations I am considering. U prime T which is minus u1t minus u2t e to the power minus t of u3 of t, then ut prime t, which is minus u2t plus 1 by 1 plus t u4 of t, u3 prime t, which is minus e to the power 2t ut of t minus 3 u3t minus 2 u4 of t, and then u4 prime of t, which is u3 of t minus u4 of t. This is the system, linear system of equation. So you can write down these things as a u vector of t, which is my at u vector of t, where at I have a plus bt form. With a I can have, this is minus 1 0 0. From there actually I can write down minus 1 0 and 0 whenever I have this linear part and so on. Okay, means the coefficient is independent of t, that is my at, and then you can see from this part should be 0, and then 0 minus 1 0 0 0 0 minus 3 minus 2, because from here you have 3 and 4, so minus 3 minus 2, and similarly for 4 case you have 0 0 1 minus 1, is it not? So what will be your bt, because that is the coefficient of ft, means function of t. So now I have with u3, and so in this case I have u4, in this case I have u2. So bt, it should be 0 0 e to the power minus t 0 0 0 0 1 by 1 plus t 0 e to the power minus 2t 0 0, and then you have 0 0 0 0, because for the fourth equations you don't have that multiplied by function or the coefficient, which is only function of t. Okay, so now what I need to find out? I need to find out the eigenvalues of a, is it not? So check that eigenvalues of a are minus 1 minus 1 minus 2 plus minus I. Okay, so the real part is negative. Okay, and if you consider bt, now this one norm, as I take that the summation over bij mod, so this should be basically e to the power minus t plus e to the power minus 2t plus 1 by 1 plus t. Okay, so this bt norm, this goes to 0 as t goes to infinity. Hence you can use your previous theorem to say that the any solution, means if you consider the initial conditions, no, that is why I put it, any solutions of the given system is asymptotically stable. Okay, so you can consider many examples to find out if it is in this form, u prime t equal to at ut, where at you can write down as a plus bt form, and then look at the eigenvalues of a, and then find out whether that norm of bt, if you integrate with respect to that, is finite, or as t goes to infinity, that norm of bt goes to 0. So in the first case, the solutions to be stable, and in the later case, the solutions to be asymptotically stable. Okay. Okay. So this is all about the linear system. So for the linear system, what I wrote initially, that the boundedness and stability, they are basically equivalent if and only if condition. But whether this is true for nonlinear systems or not, for the nonlinear system, boundedness and stability, they are different concept. So I put as a remark, for nonlinear system, boundedness and stability are distinct concepts. What do you mean by that? That means solution may be stable, but it may not be bounded, or the vice versa. Okay, that is the different the concept. For linear system, what we have seen that the solution will be stable even only if it is bounded. Let us consider this example, the simple example. Say y prime t, which is say to the power p. Okay, for p is greater or equal to 1, you can consider p is equal to 1, so it is only t, and then suppose y of t0, which is my y of 0. Okay, so how the solution looks like? We know that t0 and then y0, this is nothing but y0 plus 1 by p plus 1 t to the power p plus 1 minus t0 to the power p plus 1. Is it not? This just you integrate, then you will have this part. So now if you consider say different initial conditions, say x0, then what I have, so then what about y of t0, say y0 minus y t0, and then maybe I'm perturbing y plus say delta y0. Okay, so y plus delta y0 is another initial conditions. So now what you can have, this is less than delta for p is equal to 1 I have. So now what I can write down, this is y0, so difference is y of delta 0, and then this part you have, so you got cancelled out, so exactly mod of means delta y0. Is it not? So now if for given any epsilon, whenever delta y0 less than delta, that means y0 means this part minus of this part less than delta, I have this is less than epsilon, so here epsilon is equal to delta. Is it not? If these things is less than delta, you take epsilon is equal to delta. So what it says that this implies, using your definition, that the solutions to this problem is stable. Is it not? But it is not bounded. You see that y0 solution is in these things, it is unbounded. As t goes to big, t is big, so we cannot find out m such that t0 y less than equal to m for all t. So the boundedness and stability now are distinct concepts for nonlinear equation. Okay. So this implies solution is stable, but it is not bounded. Okay. Okay. So as I told you, mainly we will talk about the stability of the critical point. So for that case, we will consider so-called the autonomous system. Okay, means the right-hand side function, it does not depend on t in explicit way. So next is called the critical points. We have seen already the critical points in the last class and their stability. So I'll consider the autonomous system u vector prime t, which is a vector of u vector of t. Okay, and say u vector of 0, which is equal to x0 vector. So I am considering that in that condition at t is equal to 0, which is my 0 point. That is okay. Means if we consider from T0 also the same things is hold. So already we know that if x0 is in my omega, so f is again function from omega to say r of n. Omega is a open subset of Rn. So this is a equilibrium point. What we know that if that f vector of x0 vector is equal to 0 vector. So if x0 is a equilibrium point, that means this part is equal to 0, then that u vector t is equal to x0 vector is a solution to your given differential equation. Is it not? So then u vector t, which is x0 vector, is a solution of, maybe I can put as a star. Is it not? So conversely, ut, which is identically x0, means the constant, which is my x0 initial condition, then it is a critical point or the equilibrium point of this system. Is it not? So now we will talk about this equilibrium point x0 or x vector. So whether this solution is asymptotically stable, unstable, and so on. Okay, if the corresponding solution is stable, unstable, or asymptotically stable. Okay, that is the definitions. So if my f vector, which is in C1 of omega, okay, this means continuously differentiable, then I can consider this matrix, I denote as a df of x0 vector, which is nothing but this matrix. You consider dou f1, dou u1, dou f1, dou u2, and then dou f1, dou un, which is evaluated at that point x0 vector, and so on. You have dou fn, dou u1 of x0, dou fn, dou un of x0 vector. Okay, this matrix. So now we say that is a definition. There is a concept called whether a critical point is called hyperbolic or not. So the definition is say that a critical point or the equilibrium point x0 is said to be hyperbolic. Okay, if none of the eigenvalues of this matrix df of x0 are purely imaginary. Okay, so hyperbolic a critical point x0 is hyperbolic if the associated eigenvalues of this matrix df of x0, they are, means none of they are purely imaginary. So for example, if we consider this nonlinear system, say u1 prime t, which is minus u1 of t, u2 prime of t, which is minus utt plus u1 square of t, u3 prime of t, which is u3 of t plus u1 square of t. Okay, so for this system, nonlinear system, that the zero vector is the only equilibrium point. Okay, this is the only equilibrium point. So now, since it is a only equilibrium point, and then what I consider, I try to find out what will be my d of d a vector of x0 matrix. So D a vector of 0. So this is nothing but 1 0 0 0 minus 1 0 0 0 1. Is it not? Hence it is hyperbolic because none of them are imaginary, purely imaginary. Eigenvalues are basically minus 1 and 1. So eigenvalues are minus 1 1, and hence 0 is a hyperbolic equilibrium. Okay. So this is a hyperbolic equilibrium point corresponding to these things. So now we are saying that, okay, I have a hyperbolic equilibrium point x0. So then we want to know whether this hyperbolic equilibrium point is stable, unstable, or asymptotically stable. So the following theorem gives you the answer. What it says that, I'm not going to prove this theorem, a hyperbolic equilibrium point say x0 is asymptotically stable if and only if all eigenvalues of this matrix D F of x0 have negative real part. Okay, so this is if and only if conditions. So now if you look at the previous example, no, so the eigenvalues of df of 0, which is minus 1 1 minus 1 minus 1 and 1, is it not? So it is not asymptotically stable. But if you consider this example, which is little different, you consider u1 prime is equal to minus u1 plus u3 square, u2 prime, which is equal to u1 square minus 2u2, u3 prime, which is u1 square plus u2 cube minus 4u3. Okay, if you consider these things, then you see that 0 vector is a equilibrium point. Okay, check that 0 is an equilibrium point or critical point. So now what is your, in this case, the matrix D vector evaluated at that point 0. This is minus 1 0 0 0 minus 2 0 0 0 minus 4. So the eigenvalues are basically minus 1 minus 2 minus 4. Is it not? They are the eigenvalues. So what it says that none of the eigenvalues are purely imaginary, hence it is a critical, it is a hyperbolic equilibrium point. And now what previous theorem says that if the eigenvalues of d of x0 are negative, all eigenvalues of df of x0 have negative real part. So you see all these are negative real part, hence it is asymptotically stable. 0, the solution 0 is asymptotically stable. Okay. So the counterpart of this theorem, it says that, so if x0 is a stable equilibrium point of my system u hat t, then no eigenvalues of this df of x has positive real part. What it says that if x0 is a stable equilibrium point of the autonomous system E vector prime t, which is a vector of E vector of t, then no eigenvalues of d of f of x0 has positive real part. Okay, it has positive real part. So as a consequence, I can think of that for the hyperbolic equilibrium points, they are either asymptotically stable or unstable. Okay, so as a remark, I can say, because if you consider these two theorem, I can say that hyperbolic equilibrium points they are either asymptotically stable or they are unstable. Okay, so I'll stop now.